business, and everything that kind of cross our paths on a day-to-day basis. So today we're going to kick off this episode talking about Trump's tariffs and its effect on real estate, and basically how these tariffs might affect everything that we do from a business perspective. So,
Definitely.
Will, lots of things going on. What do you have to say about it?
It's it's a lot. I mean, you can definitely see the global impact, the economic impact was really felt last week for sure in the market. I trade, and you saw the market. There was a steep drop off on last week, and I think that sent a lot of people reeling in the global economy. And so right now, the global markets are in absolute chaos. U.S. stocks lost 6.6 trillion in value in just 2 days. I see that the Asian and European markets have crashed to 16-month lows. The Dow was down, I think, over 800 points this morning as well. So you have a lot of stuff that's going to hit the the economy. We don't know if this is going to send the United States economy into a recession,
So,
but
so that's a
I
good
did.
point, Will. I like
Mhm.
that. So we don't know, right? Like everybody makes a guess, an assumption, and I think what was happening is there's a big gamble going on, right?
Mhm.
There's a gamble that these tariffs are what we need to do to kind of help our economy and make us grow and get on this big growth path. But nobody knows what's going to happen,
No,
good or bad, right?
right.
And
Nobody
if we had
knows.
like a crystal, if we had a crystal ball, we'd be able to figure out how to make all the money we could all the time. But we don't know. But what we do know is there's going to be a lot of volatility. A lot of things are going to change. Um, a lot of people are going to have to adapt quick.
Definitely. And I see it as it's a great, you know, time for someone. If I've always believed that you can make money in the good times and the bad. And it's the best opportunities or are when you have chaos like this. So um it's a opportunity from a when you put your entrepreneur hat on, you have to figure out, okay, where can I make my nut at right now, right? And so this is a good opportunity for an entrepreneur to really put their thinking cap on and figure out where they could make some significant gains in the market.
So these tariffs that just went on, could you can you walk us through about how the tariffs you think are going to work, how what the point and the purpose of the tariffs are?
The so I understand the purpose of what uh Trump is trying to do is really stimulate our economy even more. He wants to bring more manufacturing, more enterprise back to the American shores, and that's what he ran on in the election. As far as like, hey, what's being imported into our country uh, needs to be taxed more, and that's basically what a tariff is a tax that other countries are paying for shipping goods into our country. So what does it mean ultimately for us? It will mean higher prices on goods that we're consuming, and it will affect other countries as well. I think I saw something that like Japan, the average tariff that Japan and the EU normally would incur would be around 2%, and then they were hit with a 20. They're at 24% tariff rate. So it's going to you're going to see an increase on the cost of goods sold. So when we're talking real estate, you're in construction, your steel your price of materials are going to go up. So excuse me for that. I didn't put my phone on mute. Housekeeping item. I talk about it all the time. Didn't do it, but yeah, you're going to see a an increase there. So it's going to affect the market some, and you know we'll see how it shakes out over time. But like you say, there is no absolute definitive result of what we know is going to happen. We don't have a crystal ball.
Well, he's been the president has been really clear about how he felt about tariffs for a long time. So this really shouldn't be a big surprise to people. He was always running on tariffs and
Yeah.
his thoughts of how he was going to bring manufacturing back to America. But my thing is, I don't think that Americans want to bring some of these jobs back. Like Dave Chappelle was saying, we don't want those Chinese jobs in America. Nobody wants to make Michael Jordans in the middle of Nebraska, or
Right.
put the little screws into an iPhone. So iPhones are now $9,000.
Right.
I think those jobs were over there for a reason, because the wage levels were so much lower than America decades ago.
Right.
And now with all the new things like robotics and automation, the, those jobs won't even exist really in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Some of those jobs are going to be automated with robotics,
Right.
and bringing those warehouses and manufacturing facilities isn't really going to do anything for American jobs, to move the needle. And the real thing is, how long does it take to create a factory and bring those jobs back? Like, you don't have a switch to turn this on to open up a manufacturing facility, a factory, a plant, whatever it might be, that those tariffs are targeted at trying to bring those jobs back. And from a guy like you as a developer, you know what it takes to build something. So can you speak to like what you think it might take to get those facilities up and running, and talk about permits and planning and all that kind of stuff?
So y- let's talk about the employee part of this. And you hit that right on the head. You It's tough enough as it is to find good employees for basic administrative stuff. And yeah, now you want people to go into factories, and we're gonna like reset to like we're in the industrial age. We're not in that golden age anymore. And you're right. The Chinese have they have achieved a complete economy of scale when it comes to manufacturing. It's just it's going to be tough to find and retain good labor for some of the jobs that I believe the administration wants to bring here to the shores of the United States. We had our lane that we're in. Um, if you look at the American economy, we're doing better than we were, years ago in terms of the GDP. The wages that Americans make is significantly higher, and so overall, our economy wasn't isn't doing bad, at all. So I think it's going to be a interesting mix of what some companies are going to try to achieve. Now, from the
Well, I
standpoint,
think regardless, we were bound for some major structural changes. Things were going to happen. People were worried about our debt, and when they say our debt, it's about our interest rates that we pay to as a government to cover that debt. So with these rates as high as they are and our debt levels so high, we don't have money to spend for everything. And I
right?
think I think the government and this administration is looking at this and they're saying, hey, we want to do tax cuts again for corporations and the wealthy, but how can we afford that, if we don't start cutting government jobs and then start doing things like tariffs, which are really just another tax,
Yeah,
right? Tax on goods. If we don't do that, how are we going to generate enough revenue to pay off all this debt we have? So
correct.
these things are going to trickle down into the economy. And for people who are in real estate, you're going to see major changes. But I think this is positions you for the perfect time to start looking for those real estate opportunities. So if
Absolutely.
you're an investor, a developer, a contractor person, this is like where you start thinking, okay, how am I going to find my opportunity in this confusion? Because it's a big distraction, but it's going to create opportunity for sure.
It's definitely going to create opportunity. This is just a market, correction right now, and it will, you know, uh, affect the United States overall debt greatly to bring down our debt. And whether we have a surge of, manufacturing jobs that come to America or not, overall the tariffs, they will figure this out. There it just will be a new normal, and what will happen there just will be an adjustment, and then I believe that over time we'll look back and the American economy will ultimately better off for it. So I do believe that right now is just a temporary pain that people are feeling, especially people in the stock
Well,
market.
it could be a permanent pain. And I've been saying this over and over again
It could be.
that the deal is when these jobs get cut and they're lost, they're not coming back. Some of these jobs on administrative and task jobs in offices, they're not going to come back. AI is going to replace those. They want to put more people into manual work. And when I say that's the people higher up who are seeing the fundamental changes, and that's really I think part of the immigration plan is part of this tariff deal. They want to fill jobs with manufacturing manual labor to take
Yeah.
away from service-based jobs because they know some of those things are just going to be completely eliminated. But when we talk about real estate and the tariff things, I'm doing a series of videos on YouTube about industrial outdoor storage. Um, so I went to a client's property over the weekend because we're getting ready for this eviction, and it's a big 10-acre, 12-acre plot of land on
Mhm.
southwest side of town. It's in a great location off of 288, and the reality was it was used for truck parking. But the next tenant or person who comes in there with these changes that's going on with manufacturing and then bringing jobs back, they're going to be more contractors, more people looking to start their own businesses that can take advantage of these changes and be able to use things like industrial outdoor storage. Have you seen any kind of industrial real estate plays like that you think might be affected by tariffs?
In terms of development, I hadn't looked at that that really hard yet, but I know that is there has been a I've seen a surge in development with companies who are developing more um, a few more different manufacturing facilities. I know like Honda has entered the market. They have a big plant that they're developing up in the Ohio market, and they're going to be doing one um, in Louisiana as well. So I have seen more development coming in, and especially in now. And one thing I like about what you said, that property that you're looking at, that's a good business in itself, with having that parking for truckers and things like that. Was that what you guys were doing with the property?
So my client had a tenant in there that was leasing out space to different trucking companies,
Hmm.
and he had about 20 different tenants. Now that wasn't supposed to be the initial the original use for the property, but this is what he did. And there's actually a lawyer out of Dallas named Ronald Road who does a lot of YouTube articles, YouTube videos about truck parking and industrial outdoor storage.
It's good
And
residual
it,
income.
oh, it's great because
Yeah.
you can get somebody in there and subdivide a big lot like that, and you can bring in these tenants, everybody who's like uh, painters or roofing guys, any of these people who have different contracting businesses, and they get their own section of the lot. So
Yeah.
once you subdivide it, they might have 5,000 square feet where they can keep their equipment, and another guy might have another 5,000 square feet, rather than them having to go rent a whole place. So it's like, consider like a storage facility, but outdoors. And it's very well organized. Once you get these things set up, they partition it with fences, and so you can each have your own code to access your area, and then you can expand that if you want to. So if you have a property like this and you lease it from the landlord for, let's say, $7,000 a month, and then you subdivide that property, and each one of those tenants is paying you $500 to $1,000 a month, you could really generate some real revenue.
Right. Right. And then the reason I brought that up is, I had a painter. One of my subcontractors really impressed me. He purchased a few acres and did that same exact thing, but he went in, scraped the lot, compacted the land real good, brought some aggregate rock in, and set everything up where it was automated to where you know they each person they were parking 18 wheelers on this, so he was telling me he had to get a real good compaction, and then they gated it off to where it was automated. He set up his automation where they were billed monthly. The truckers had access in and out, and this thing just cash flowed for him on this land. And I think he was bringing in almost like 16 grand a month just from the land sitting alone. And when you look at cash flow, that's great cash flow, to own a piece of property free and clear. It's a property he bought free and clear, and he just brought in the infrastructure in terms of the electrical. The cool thing with him doing the truck parking, he didn't have to bring any plumbing in. He didn't have to worry about any detention. He literally was just compacting the land and setting up the different parking spots. I think they went in with some of that Black Star gravel to create the different lines to separate the parking. And then I think his most expensive, purchase was the SCADA system that allows for the parking, for your automated parking attendant. I forgot how much he spent on that, but now, you know, you've got residual income coming in off of parking, and you don't have to.
Right.
You're not having to go and fix up units or anything like that. Good, great parking is a great business model,
Yeah.
especially in the right
And
location.
San Antonio, speaking of the right locations, they actually passed a new law, or some kind of regulation stating that trucks can no longer park, 18 wheeler trucks can no longer park freely wherever they want, like in parking lots or on the side of the road or any kind of stuff. It's a
Oh,
major citation if you do that. So
I didn't know
now
that.
everybody's looking for truck parking. So, even though things change with like the tariffs and all that stuff, there's going to be new opportunities. And some people might say, oh, well, with the tariffs, the trucking will stop. Well, no, goods are still going to have to move around inside of the United States.
Right.
Things are going to have to go from one place to the next. Things are going to be built in Houston that are going to have to be shipped to Denver, and there's going to need parking for that. They're going to need trucking for that. They're going to need all these kind of contractors to service it. So the opportunities don't stop.
So you're
Uh,
saying we're going to see an increase because of tariffs and in the transportation industry itself here in the United States as well.
I couldn't really forecast one way or another, and there's a lot of really smart people who are throwing their ideas of what's going to happen. But I say you just move forward, no
Yeah.
matter what. Don't get distracted by all these things and seeing the stock market. And what happens is, a lot of times when you do that, you just get frozen.
Yeah.